Outlier, we really think about journalism as a utility. Just like turning on your lights or turning on your water, you need information in order to be able to make good decisions for yourself and for your family. Documenters is a program that we are so proud to be hosting at Outlier. How can the community be a part of helping newsrooms to do work that we are too small to do? But also, how can we train residents to go and to listen critically for information in order to understand how to use that information to build the city that they want to build, the communities that they want to build, the processes that they want to see put in place? Part of that is just knowing that you can walk into that room and that room belongs to you, right? Like, our public bodies belong to us.
I'm an urban studies and public history student at Wayne State. I started documenting January 2022, so it's been almost 2 years now. And then I also freelance for Outlier Media. I started off documenting Board of Police Commissioner meetings, which kind of slowly turned into city council meetings, transit meetings, and Board of Water Commissioner meetings. Those are the ones that I kind of keep going back to. Documenters, they have note takers and then live tweeters. And we've caught some very interesting things, documenters, just like sitting in meetings. Sometimes they'll just casually say really important news that people would otherwise never caught if a documenter wasn't there. So I'm here to live tweet. I sometimes will take pictures of presentations that they have on the screen. When public commenters are up, I'll be up basically typing everything that the public commenters are saying.
I'm here in Detroit trying to make it a priority to get restitution for homeowners in Detroit who lost their homes to foreclosure within the last 20 years due to illegal practices, including but not limited to overassessment of property taxes by city officials.
I just really like the idea of being able to help enhance journalists' work, but also be able to connect like what I learned from my documenting into like outside organizing, but also just holding city officials accountable too. You know, when they know that people are out here listening and they're out here like tracking what they say, I feel like it really holds them to a higher standard.
Some years ago, I was at a conference and I heard the founders at City Bureau speak about this program that they were running in Chicago. And from the moment I heard the concept, I immediately was in. City Bureau has expanded, and it is really wonderful to have that network of folks working together, because while people are doing their own thing in their own cities, we're all learning from each other. We just trained our 500th documenter just a couple of weeks ago, which is an incredible milestone. And we also have about 70 of those folks that are actively taking notes. That means that within the last 2 months, they have taken notes at a public meeting. But we also really are thinking about how to utilize that network of 500, and we hope one day 1,000 or more, to do other things, because there are certainly other ways that they can serve this newsroom and also the other newsrooms in the communities and do work that is beneficial beyond the notes.
Almost every city meeting, there are citizens calling in about how poorly things are on the bus. I think as of last month, buses were on time only 64% of the time. The documenters have started doing something called Documenters on the Bus. So there's 20 of us. We're gonna be riding 10 different routes, documenting that process, just to be able to report on behalf of citizens who actually went out there and rode the buses. I am focusing on environment. So I'm documenting like how many stops have shelters, or like if they're clean, if there's a lot of trash, if there are trash cans, are they full, overflowing, you know, like what's the environment like? So I got into doing the documenters about 3 years ago. And I was interested in like what's going on in the city, right? And so they had a post online like, we need citizens to document city meetings. And I'm like, oh, this is even better. Like, you can do city meetings and get paid to do it. So wanting to be able to kind of be that person in the middle, kind of just spread out information a little bit further than it normally would go. Like, hey, information is out here. Like, here's info on what's happening. Get involved. So if you go to Outlier Media, Yep. If you go to Outlier Media, if you click that QR code, it'll probably take you to the website, and you can find all kinds of stuff. I was starting doing different meetings, and it's the same everywhere. You don't have a lot of people participating. But the reason you don't have a lot of people participating sometimes is the time of the meetings. A lot of people can't take 4 hours off in the middle of their workday to go to a meeting. That's just not reality.
We train, but most importantly, we pay people to go to public meetings. Everyone is paid for at least 3 hours of work, regardless of how long they're there. And then you're also paid for the time that it takes you to get to the meeting, and also the time it would take you to get home and write your notes up. And those notes are edited by reporters and editors from newsrooms from ours all the way to Detroit Free Press, because in Detroit, we run Documenters as a collaborative process, working with newsrooms across the city to make that load a little bit lighter on all of us.
I am here today for the first of a series of public hearings, and it's dealing with discrimination within housing, and it's being run through with the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. In this role, I'm here as a note taker. We have a general outline and a flow, some things we want to capture. We want to capture when the meeting started, when it ended. We want an estimate how many people are there. We also want to go ahead and make sure that we note if there are people that are on a board or some level of responsibility that you would expect to be there. If they're not there, we want to note that.
I'm speaking on behalf of my community. I'm also with Detroit Action. We have been trying to get fair housing justice. But I recently, a year ago, moved into a home that's the landlord, he stays in Chicago. I have not seen that landlord within a year.
I began doing this at the very beginning of 2023, and up to this point, it's been 18, maybe 19 public meetings that I've documented. It's valuable and important work, and I want to be useful. The other aspect is to hear people's stories, to hear what's going on within their lives. I guess I'm also one of those geeks that is interested in public governance. So.
We hope that people see what we're doing in Detroit through Documenters, and they're encouraged by it to think about how they can bring it to their communities. And if they're in Detroit, to think about how they can support the work that we're doing here. We are all incredibly tied to one another. And so this work, I think, really shows how tied this community is to one another, and also that Detroiters will always be their own answer.